So Katt come from across the room and punch Dipset X in the face, dumb hard. off instinct, just instinct, I grab Katt, flip Katt upside down, and slam Katt.
Cam'Ron, come on, bro. We only met a few times. And one of the times is a night that you talking about in Philadelphia, that you slammed my man and on the ground and you did all the crazy, wild stuff. You had one of them Soldier Boy stories. Well, remember, I was there.
Y'all, listen. Cam'Ron telling the story of how he supposedly body slammed Katt Williams back in the day was not in my 2025 bingo cards. And believe me, that's not even half of this wild situation. Cam'Ron has been making headlines left and right after he spilled the tea about an old school incident where Katt allegedly tried to square up with one of Cam's Dipset guys. Cam claims he had no choice but to step in to prevent a full-on brawl. According to Cam's version, he swooped in like a superhero, grabbed Katt, and tossed him around like he weighed no more than a decorative pillow. The way Cam described it, it was light work, like breaking up a fight between kids.
Katt Williams was dissing you all night. You was the nigga that I was talking about. He kept kicking you out the room. You kept trying to run in and get your money. Yo, get the fuck out. Get the fuck out. He kicked you out at least 7 times that night. Katt Williams fired his DJ that night for playing too much Dipset, and you kept sneaking in the room trying to get paid.
But hold on, because Katt wasn't about to let that narrative fly. He straight up called Cam a liar in public. Katt said the story did not go down like that at all, and that Cam is leaving out some very important details. Katt claims he actually pulled out a little pew-pew during the altercation, hinting that things were a lot more serious than just a scuffle. And just when you thought it couldn't get any spicier, Cam fired back at Katt for calling him a liar, making the drama even thicker. Cam basically said if Katt wanted to take it there again, he knows exactly how it would end. And trust me, the way Cam said, it had people clutching their pearls. Now y'all already know how messy it gets whenever Katt is involved in any story. This is the same man who's roasted entire rooms of people without even blinking. So if you think this is just going to blow over quietly, think again. This is one of those Hollywood tales that's about to snowball into memes, interviews, and endless clapbacks.
Katt Williams had a concert in Philly. And I go to this concert, and my friends that's Dipset, like I said, these aren't Jewel's Jim or Zeke, anybody, it's just other members. I don't want people to assume that it's them, but it's other members. They were there, and they were at the Katt Williams concert. So after the concert, we go in the locker room. We get in the locker room, and Katt is in there, he's just going off on everybody, not me, like his staff, the other comedians, etc.
Cam'Ron's show, Talk with Flea, has been quietly gaining traction over the past few months, but it really exploded into the spotlight recently after Cam dropped a bombshell story about a wild incident that went down between him and Katt Williams years ago. What made this story so wild is that it finally explained what really ruined Cam and Katt's relationship for good. Here's what allegedly happened. Cam, Katt, and a bunch of other guys, mostly from Cam's Dipset crew, were all hanging out backstage during one of Katt's comedy shows in Philly. Now, back then, Katt wasn't just the hottest comedian on the scene, he was also dabbling in rap.
I'm like, damn, somebody done fucked up. So I get there, we get in the locker room. He gives me an envelope, it has $30,000 in it. He like, yo, killer, good looking, man, $30. I was like, Katt, I ain't come for your money, man. I don't want your money. He like, Cam, take the money. I love you, it's your money. I'm like, Katt, I'm not taking the money. He said, fine, you don't take the money, I'll give it to him. No, I'm gonna take the money if you just gonna eventually give it to somebody. That same night, he gave Beanie Siegel a Lamborghini. It was Little Mo, I believe. Little Mo, he gave her a Cadillac truck. I'm like, oh, this is on some generous time.
In fact, he was seriously trying to kickstart a rap career by joining Dipset. Yup, you heard that right. Katt Williams, the master of stand-up comedy, wanted to trade punchlines for punch bars, and apparently he wasn't half bad either. Word is, Katt could spit some surprisingly dope verses. So, on paper, his decision to roll with Dipset actually made sense. He already knew Cam personally, and they had mutual respect for each other. But according to Cam, the timing was all wrong. See, Katt wanted to join Dipset during a period when the crew just wasn't what it used to be. The once tight-knit group was already dealing with internal drama, egos clashing, and lingering tensions that had been brewing for years. Things just weren't sweet like they were back in the early 2000s.
He's flipping. So now remember, the members of Dipset that I wasn't speaking to were there, but I'm cool with them now. And he kind of was rapping and flipping on it's like, you bitch ass niggas, da-da-da-da, telling the other members this. I'm like, hey, Katt, hey, relax, man. It's all love. He said, Cam, you want me to tell you what he said when you wasn't around? I'm like, oh my God. Everybody cool now. It ain't no problems with nobody. I don't want to hear the rap thing, man. That's actually Katt. No, I don't. He said, yeah, then don't tell me about yelling these because I'll tell you what they say you wasn't around. So I'm like, damn. So then I didn't want to just get up and leave because like I said, he gave me like $30,000 for no reason.
For anyone who doesn't know, Dipset, also known as the Diplomats, was a Harlem-based rap collective formed in 1997 by childhood friends Cam'Ron and Jim Jones. They had a legendary run with hits like Dipset Anthem and were once one of the most influential crews in hip-hop culture. But by the time Katt came into the picture, the cracks were already showing and the unity wasn't there anymore. So what should have been a smooth move for Katt ended up turning into a night of chaos and a chain of events that would forever damage his relationship with Cam. They were later joined by Freaky Zeke and Juelz Santana, rounding out the iconic lineup that most fans know as Dipset. The crew officially got signed to Rockefeller Records in 2001 after Cam'Ron secured his own solo deal, and just 2 years later, they dropped their debut album, Diplomatic Immunity, in March 2003.
But Nick, the room is leaving. Beanie Siegel's leaving, Little Mo's leaving. I'm like, it's almost time to get out. He's yelling in their face again. I'm like, is that necessary, Katt? He said, yeah, it's necessary because you don't know what the fuck these niggas was saying. I'm like, damn, I don't want to do this right now. This is kind of crazy. So then about 10 minutes later, Katt Williams comes over to me. He like, yo, and I guess I'm not naming their names. He's like, yo, let's just call him Dipset X. He says, hey, yo, Cam, I think Dipset X farted on me. And I'm like, farted on you?
A certified classic in the streets. But as with many legendary rap crews, success brought drama. Tensions between Cam'Ron and Jay-Z eventually reached a boiling point, and Dipset decided to part ways with Rockefeller. After that messy fallout, they went on to sign with Coke Records, where they released Diplomatic Immunity, 2 in 2004. By that time, though, the unity within Dipset was already starting to fade. There were artistic differences, business disagreements, and a lot of egos clashing behind the scenes. They eventually took a short break, but the fans' demand brought them back together in 2010 for a reunion run. Things held together for a while, but by 2025, long-standing disputes between Cam'Ron and Jim Jones finally blew up for good, leading to the permanent breakup of the group after almost 28 years in the game. So back when this whole Backstage incident with Katt Williams went down, Dipset was already on shaky ground. The chemistry wasn't there anymore, the crew wasn't moving like a family, and the energy was far from what it used to be. That made it tough for Katt to really slide in and launch the rap career he was dreaming about. Anyway, on that fateful day in Philly, Katt was already in a bad mood.
Yeah, I know I don't get involved with certain things, but this boy right here, that's a lion boy right here, boy. Cam'Ron, come on, bro. We only met a few times. And one of the times is a night that you talking about in Philadelphia, that you slammed my man on the ground and you did all the crazy, wild stuff you had.
According to people who were there, he came backstage after his comedy set looking heated. Nobody knows exactly what triggered him, but he was mad at everybody. Maybe it was something that happened during the show. Maybe it was the vibe Dipset was giving off, or maybe it was just one of those nights where the tension was already in the air. And that's when everything started to spiral. Words were exchanged, tempers flared, and before anyone could calm it down, the situation between Katt and the Dipset guys took a sharp turn. Maybe it was the tension from the shows he had been performing at. Maybe he was just in a bad mood, or maybe there was something deeper going on behind the scenes that nobody knew about. Either way, Katt was not feeling sunny that night, and he made sure everyone in that Philly backstage room knew it. According to Cam, Katt started going off on everyone around him. His own crew, his band, the Dipset members, nobody was safe. It wasn't just regular frustration either. Katt was on full-blown tirade mode, pacing back and forth, raising his voice and pointing fingers. Cam suggested that maybe Katt's anger toward Dipset came from his growing frustration about wanting to join the crew, but never really being embraced as an official member.
I don't know if he farted on you. He said, yeah, the farted on me, man. I usually tag behind it like that. So the first thing I'm thinking when he says this is, has this happened before that you usually snuff niggas behind farting on you? How many times have niggas farted on you? That this is what you usually do to niggas after that? That's what I was thinking. But I was like, nah, Katt, he ain't mine. So I see Katt walk around the room asking niggas. I assume he's asking, yo, did you fart? Did you fart? Did you fart? Did you fart? Did you fart?
But get this, it only got weirder from there.
But here's the thing, it didn't even make sense that he went after his own people too. The man was literally barking at his drummer, his comedians, and even the tour staff. It was like he wanted to burn the whole room down verbally. Cam spilled the tea that Katt didn't hold back at all that night. He said Katt was so fired up that he ended up firing his own drummer on the spot, and it didn't stop there. He even kicked a couple of the comedians performing with him off the tour right then and there. One of the people who allegedly got the boot that night was none other than comedian Red Grant, who at the time was one of Katt's closest friends and right-hand men. Yup, Red Grant, someone who had been riding with Katt for years, was told to pack it up and leave. Just remember that little detail because it's going to come back later in the story. So after verbally demolishing his own team and cutting ties with his own people, Katt turned his attention toward the Dipset members who were just chilling backstage. That's when things really got spicy. He allegedly started calling them out one by one, questioning their loyalty, their music, even their relevance. Now, this is where the story takes an absolutely wild left turn. According to Cam, out of nowhere, Katt suddenly switched gears and started ranting about how a Dipset member had farted on him. Yes, you heard that right. Literally farted on him. Cam said it was like Katt was just looking for something, anything, to stay mad about.
One of them Soldier Boy stories. Well, remember, I was there. I was one of the comedians you said that Katt was talking bad to. Supposedly talking bad to the staff and the comedians. When he started doing that? Because me and Mark Curry was in that mug. And we ain't hear none of that. So shut your lying ass up, boy. Shut your lying ass up.
One minute he was yelling about loyalty, and the next he was dead serious, accusing someone in the room of cutting one loose near him. Like, what? Cam said Katt was literally going around staring people in the eye and asking if they were the one who did it, and he wasn't joking either. Katt was furious. He even put on his imaginary detective hat and started interrogating people, pointing fingers and demanding answers like it was some kind of crime scene. Cam said you could see the rage building up in Katt's face as he swore he was going to handle whoever was behind the fatal mistake. But here's where it gets even more ridiculous. Katt allegedly took it so far that he threatened to off whoever the culprit was over a fart. You literally can't make this up, y'all. The room went from tense to awkward to downright unbelievable in a matter of seconds. And just when you think it couldn't possibly get any weirder, Katt apparently decided he had figured out who the culprit was. He zeroed in on one Dipset member.
And punched Dipset X in the face. Dumb hard. Off instinct. Just instinct. I grabbed Katt, flipped Katt upside down, and slammed Katt And then as I'm about to kick him, I snap out of it. The reason like I said, I even bugged out because it was just a reflex. Like, Dipset X is my man. So it was just a reflex. And I'm like, hold on, what the f going on? So Katt had like 100 FOIs, the Muslims came in. We in the room the size of somebody, smaller than somebody's living room.
Nobody even remembers who exactly. And suddenly, it looked like Katt was ready to throw hands. He squared up, puffed out his chest, and was this close to lunging. But before things could explode, Cam said his instincts kicked in. Without even thinking, he rushed Katt and straight up body slammed him into the ground before anyone realized what was happening. According to Cam, it wasn't even about trying to hurt Katt. It was about shutting down the chaos before it got out of control. The story sounded so outrageous that when Cam first told it on Talk with Flea, a lot of people straight up side-eyed him. I mean, a fight breaking out over a fart, a body slam in the middle of a backstage meltdown. It was giving too wild to be true, but it got even crazier when Cam revealed another detail. He claimed Katt had actually handed him $30,000 in cash earlier that same night. And guess what? Cam says he lost the money after slamming Katt on the floor. Like, how do you even lose $30,000 in the middle of all that chaos?
So imagine how many people's in there. And now the FOIs, which are the Muslim security, they in the middle of us. I'm on this side of the room, Katt's on this side of the room, and Katt says, yeah, Cam, and you too. And Dipset, y'all is up in this for me. Give a about none of y'all niggas. Get the out. And it's 50 FOIs between all of us, and I'm like, what's happening? Let's talk. He like, no, you and Dipset. All y'all get the out.
The whole thing just sounded bizarre, like a plot twist no one could have predicted. And then came the real mess. Some of the other people who were backstage that night started speaking up, and their versions of the story didn't quite line up with Cam's. That's when Katt himself decided to jump into the mix, and trust me, he didn't hold back. Katt not only called Cam a liar, but he also dropped a major bombshell that Cam conveniently left out of his version. According to Katt, Cam wasn't some fearless hero swooping in to protect his crew. Nope. Katt claims Cam was actually scared that night, so scared that he allegedly pulled out a pew-pew to defuse the situation. In Katt's words, that whole Cam body slammed me story, not true. Katt said the only reason Cam even had the chance to do anything physical was because Katt didn't want to escalate it. At best, Katt said, he could only pull that move because I didn't want to get shot. At worst, it's a straight-up lie. And Katt wasn't done. He spilled more tea in a post saying, wait till the comedians in the room tell the real version of this. Mark Curry and Red Grant was there. The video shows you pull out the chrome because you was scared, and we was all at the game too. Good luck. Remember Red Grant, the comedian Katt allegedly fired that same night? Well, he also came out swinging at Cam, calling him a liar and telling him to keep Katt's name out of his mouth. So now you've got comedians, Dipset members, and random eyewitnesses all contradicting each other. And the truth? Red Grant wasted no time clowning Cam for what he called tall tales for clout.
And they're like, come on, brothers. The good brothers. There's 50 shuffling out, about 4 or 5 of us. And Rec was fighting too, it was me and Rec. Because Katt Williams, man, was there, my man Insta-Rec. Shout out to Insta-Rec. Insta-Rec got it on with Katt Williams, man. It was Katt Williams, man, and Insta-Rec, and it was me and Katt.
He jumped on social media and let it rip, saying nothing about Cam's version of events was even remotely true. Cam'Ron, come on, bro, Red said with a laugh. You lying like ish, LOL. I was there. Funny face boy, stop playing with us. You're doing great in life. You don't need to mess around over here. We over here laughing and joning, so keep it pushing. It was straight up roast mode. And you already know the comment section went crazy. People were reposting Red's video, adding crying emojis and taking sides. Some were like, if Red Grant says it didn't happen, it didn't happen. While others were calling him out for just covering for Katt. But of course, Cam wasn't about to just sit back and let Red clown him publicly without clapping back. He fired right back at Red Grant, questioning his motives and calling out the obvious. Why would I bother making up such a weird, random, and frankly unbelievable story for clout? Think about it. Who even wants to admit they body slammed Katt Williams over a fart? That ain't the flex you think it is, homie. Cam doubled down, saying he had no reason to lie and that the truth would eventually come out. He hinted that there were more people in the room that night who hadn't spoken yet and dared anyone to produce actual evidence.
Let's start with this story, right, that I'm talking about. that I told last week about Katt Williams. How ridiculous is this story to make up? Like, who the is running around talking about farting on niggas and not farting on niggas and niggas getting snuffed over farts? Who the would make that up? Like, what kind of imagination do you have to make up a whole fart story?
To contradict him. Now we're at the point where this whole situation has taken on a life of its own. Social media has turned the Cam'Ron versus Katt Williams fiasco into primetime entertainment. Twitter, or X, whatever you want to call it, is full of memes. People posting photoshopped pics of Katt in a detective hat, looking for the fart culprit. Clips of Cam's interviews spliced with WWE body slam videos, and even fake Law & Order intros titled SVU Special Fart Unit. On TikTok, folks are doing reenactments of the backstage drama, complete with over-the-top acting. Some are Team Cam, arguing he's got nothing to gain by lying about something this bizarre. Others are Team Katt, saying the comedian has been in enough crazy situations that he doesn't need to fabricate anything to stay relevant, and that Cam is clearly milking this for clout. Meanwhile, bloggers are digging deeper. A few outlets claim there might be actual footage from Backstage in Philly that night, but so far nothing has surfaced. Mark Curry, who was allegedly there, has been suspiciously quiet, and people are waiting to see if he'll break his silence.
Including Katt Williams in it, or myself to be in it. Who the make that up? Yo, I know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna make up a whole story about Katt Williams farting on, and then me and him got into some shit, and the fucking FOIs was there, and then what I'll do? Oh yeah, they'll kick us out, this, that, and the third. Yeah, that's what I'll do. I'll make up a whole story of me, of Katt Williams farting on somebody, and capitalize like that. That's the ticket. Who the makes up that type of story, yo? You can't, it sounds ridiculous when you tell the story.
And here's where it gets even messier. Whispers are starting that this could spill into music. Rumor has it Cam is considering dropping a freestyle on Talk with Flea addressing Katt and Red Grant directly. And knowing Katt, if he feels disrespected enough, he'll definitely clap back, either in an interview on stage during one of his stand-up sets, or even in a viral video roasting Cam for filth. Right now, the public is split. Half think Cam is telling a wild but true story. The other half think this is the most ridiculous lie they've ever heard. Either way, the drama isn't slowing down anytime soon. With more eyewitnesses being pressured to speak, possible receipts floating around, and both sides refusing to back down, this beef might just level up into full-blown pop culture history. Like, of all things to lie about, why would Cam choose this? Why would he make up a story about Katt getting furious over a fart, or swinging on a Dipset member, or yelling at everyone and firing half his crew? It just doesn't add up. These aren't the kind of details you can easily fake.
Williams was dissing you all night. You was the nigga that I was talking about. He kept kicking you out the room. You kept trying to run in and get your money. Yo, get the out. Get the out. He kicked you out at least 7 times that night. Katt Williams fired his DJ that night for playing too much Dipset, and you kept sneaking in the room trying to get paid. And he didn't pay you. And that's a fact. And like you said, you was there. It was 7, 8 niggas I know that was there.
Because multiple people were in that room and everything could be fact-checked. Cam even doubled down and basically said, you tell the story then. If I'm lying, prove it. He went as far as daring Red Grant to post the video recording of the incident that Red claimed to have. Cam insisted there were plenty of witnesses who could back up his version of the story, and if anyone was really lying, it wasn't him. Then Cam got petty. He roasted Red in classic Harlem fashion, saying Red was just Katt's boy, basically implying he was nothing more than Katt's loyal sidekick. Cam even threw in a little jab, calling him the Burn, like he was just a tag-along who caught the heat from other people's shine. Now, to be fair, it does make sense why Red would jump to Katt's defense. Red Grant has always been close to Katt. He's talked openly about how Katt put him on, gave him opportunities, and helped his comedy career really take off.
I'm gonna start going to get the testimony of all the niggas that was in the room that night. It was 7, 8 niggas that was there that I knew from New York or Harlem or wherever. Shice Bud was there. KD was there. God bless that Murphy. Duke Driver was there. It was a few niggas there. I have more than 4 to 5 niggas that can verify this story. So if you want to play he say, she say, we could. I don't have to make up a farting story. The story's stupid to make up. And you was his son.
That kind of loyalty runs deep. So of course, Red's not about to let someone like Cam paint Katt in a bad light without saying something. But let's be real. Cam's shade still had people cackling. The internet was loving the fact that even in the middle of all this mess, Cam'Ron stayed true to his Harlem roots by cracking jokes and keeping the energy light while still taking shots. But get this, the whole thing started off sounding like just another silly backstage story until it didn't. Word started spreading that Cam wasn't just brushing off being called a liar, he was furious. According to people close to him, Cam was so mad that he actually threatened to pull up on Katt if Katt didn't take down the tweet where he called Cam a liar. Yup, just like that, things went from 20 to 102 real quick. What started as a funny, did this really happen type of tale is now snowballing into what could easily be the industry's next epic beef. Meanwhile, fans have been chiming in with their 2 cents, and the takes are all over the place. One person commented, Cam knows what he's doing. Katt is on fire right now. Of course, everyone wants a piece of the flame. This is all just promo. Another fan said what a lot of people were thinking. Stories from 25 years ago are always going to have different versions, especially when half the people involved were probably drunk or high. Nobody remembers it the same way. But not everyone was sympathetic. Someone else went straight for Cam's neck, saying, Cam is mad corny for this. Like, why are you even involved in so much drama at your age? Move on, bro. Still, others pointed out that Katt has been in so many wild situations that it's not hard to believe some of this story might be true. The debate has completely split the internet. Team Cam versus Team Katt, with Red Grant acting as Katt's mouthpiece and a bunch of potential witnesses still staying quiet. So now, everyone's wondering, is this all just a misunderstanding that'll blow over? Or are we about to witness a full-on Cam'Ron versus Katt Williams beef that could spill into interviews, diss tracks, and maybe even lawsuits if things get too messy? But let's be real. Nobody's actually about to box over this. At least, we hope not. This is one of those situations where the drama is way louder online than it probably is in real life. Still, it makes you wonder, who's really stirring the pot here? Do you guys think Cam is the one fueling all this chaos just to get attention? Should he have just left that old story about Katt in the past? Or do you think Katt went too far by publicly calling Cam a liar and dragging Red Grant into the mix? And the biggest question of all, do you see this thing turning into a real feud? Like, are we talking interviews, diss tracks, maybe even leaked footage finally surfacing? Or is this just one of those messy Hollywood stories that'll fizzle out after the memes die down? We want to hear from you, so let us know your thoughts down in the comments. Are you Team Cam, Team Katt, or Team this is too messy, I'm just here for the laughs? And if you've been enjoying this wild ride, don't forget to like this video, hit that subscribe button, and ring the bell so you never miss the next update. Because trust me, there's always something cooking in the industry, and we'll be right here to break it down for you. Thanks for watching, and stick around, because you won't believe what's going on in our hood next.